Welcome to As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, presented by Time Bridge Publications. Before we begin this transformative journey, I'd like to share something important with you. The audiobook you're about to experience is more than just a historical piece of literature. It's a gateway to personal transformation that has been changing lives since its first publication in 1903. James Allen's profound insights into the power of thought and its ability to shape our reality remain as relevant today as they were over a century ago. What makes this version special is our commitment to preserving Allen's timeless wisdom while making it more accessible to contemporary listeners. We've carefully crafted this audiobook to present these powerful ideas in clear, modern language that speaks directly to today's audience, while maintaining every nuance of Allen's original message. Think of this audiobook as a bridge, connecting the timeless wisdom of the past with the practical reality of your present moment. As you listen, you'll discover how your thoughts truly are the architects of your destiny, and how you can harness this understanding to manifest your highest potential. This audiobook is being made available completely free on YouTube by Time Bridge Publications as part of our mission to make transformative literature accessible to everyone. If you prefer to read along or want to access the companion workbook with practical exercises, you can find the paperback version on Amazon through the link in the description box below. Remember, there's no rush. Transformation is a journey, not a destination. We encourage you to take your time with this material, pause when needed, and truly absorb these life-changing principles. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more classic works of personal development presented in easy-to-understand, contemporary language. Your support helps us continue making these transformative works freely available to audiences worldwide. And now, let us begin our journey through As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Forward by James Allen. Mind is the master power that shapes and creates, and man is mind, and always he embraces the tool of thought, crafting what he desires, bringing forth endless joys, or countless troubles dire. He thinks in secret, and it comes to be, his surroundings mirror his inner reality. This small book, born of reflection and experience, is not meant to be an exhaustive study of the widely explored subject of the power of thought. Its aim is more to inspire than to explain, encouraging men and women to uncover and understand the truth that they themselves are makers of themselves. The mind is the master weaver, shaping both the inner fabric of character and the outer tapestry of circumstance. Though they may have previously woven their lives in ignorance and suffering, they now have the power to weave with knowledge and joy. James Allen. Broad Park Avenue, Ilfracombe, England. Chapter 1, Thought and Character. The aphorism, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he," not only encompasses the entirety of a person's being, but also extends to every condition and circumstance in their life. A man is, quite literally, the product of his thoughts, with his character being the total sum of all his ideas and reflections. Just as a plant arises from a seed and cannot exist without it, every action of a man originates from the concealed seeds of thought and could not manifest without them. This principle applies equally to actions considered spontaneous or unpremeditated as to those executed with deliberation and intent. Action is the blossom of thought, while joy and suffering are its fruits. In this way, a man reaps the sweet or bitter harvest of his own mental cultivation. Thought in the mind hath made us what we are, by thought was wrought and built. If a man's mind hath evil thoughts, pain comes on him, as comes the wheel of the ox behind. If one endure in purity of thought, joy follows him, as his own shadow, sure. Man develops according to natural laws, not as a product of artificial design. The principle of cause and effect operates with the same certainty in the unseen realm of thought as it does in the visible, material world. A noble and godlike character is not a matter of chance or favor, but is the natural outcome of sustained effort and right thinking. It is the effect of consistently nurturing and aligning oneself with godlike thoughts. Similarly, an ignoble and base character is formed through the same process, resulting from the persistent indulgence in low and degrading thoughts. Man is both the creator and the destroyer of himself. In the armory of thought, he crafts the weapons that lead to his own downfall, yet he also forges the tools to build heavenly mansions filled with joy, strength, and peace. Through the right choice and proper application of thought, man rises toward divine perfection. Conversely, through misuse and wrongful application, he falls beneath even the level of the beast. Between these two extremes lie the countless grades of character, all of which man shapes and governs. Among all the profound truths about the soul that have been rediscovered and illuminated in this age, none is more uplifting or abundant with divine promise and hope than this, that man is the master of his thoughts, the architect of his character, and the creator of his conditions, surroundings, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and as the master of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation and possesses within himself the transformative and regenerative force by which he can shape his life as he wills. Man is always the master, even in his weakest and most degraded state. Yet, in such moments, he is a foolish master, mismanaging his household and allowing disorder to reign. When he begins to reflect on his condition and diligently seek the law that governs his existence, he transforms into a wise master. He then directs his energy with intelligence and shapes his thoughts toward meaningful and fruitful outcomes. This is what it means to be a conscious master. Man achieves this state only by discovering within himself the laws of thought, a process that requires dedicated application, self-analysis, and personal experience. Just as gold and diamonds are obtained through extensive searching and mining, so too can man uncover every truth about his being if he digs deeply into the mine of his soul. By doing so, he can prove, beyond doubt, that he is the creator of his character, the shaper of his life, and the architect of his destiny. This truth becomes evident if he observes, controls, and transforms his thoughts, tracing their impact on himself, others, and his circumstances. By linking cause and effect through persistent practice and careful investigation, and by using every experience, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, as a tool for self-discovery, he can gain the knowledge of himself that leads to understanding, wisdom, and power. In this pursuit, the law is absolute: he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Only through patience, diligent practice, and unwavering effort can a man step through the door of the temple of knowledge. Chapter 2: Effective Thought on Circumstances. Man's mind can be compared to a garden, which may either be thoughtfully cultivated or left untended to grow wild. Regardless of how it is treated, the garden will inevitably produce something. If no beneficial seeds are sown, then it will inevitably become overrun with an abundance of useless weeds, which will grow and multiply unchecked, bringing forth after their own kind. Just as a gardener tends to his plot, clearing it of weeds and nurturing the flowers and fruits he desires, so too can a man cultivate the garden of his mind. He can remove all wrong, useless, and impure thoughts while fostering and perfecting those that are right, useful, and pure. Through this deliberate process, a man eventually realizes that he is the master gardener of his soul and the director of his life. In doing so, he uncovers the laws of thought within himself and gains an ever-deepening understanding of how the forces of thought and elements of the mind shape his character, circumstances, and destiny. Thought and character are inseparable, and since character can only express and reveal itself through environment and circumstances, the external conditions of a person's life will always align with their inner state. However, this does not imply that a person's current circumstances fully represent their entire character. Rather, those circumstances are closely linked to a significant thought element within them and are, at that moment, essential to their growth and development. Every individual is exactly where they are according to the law of their being. The thoughts they have integrated into their character have led them to their present situation. In the arrangement of a person's life, there is no element of chance. All unfolds according to an infallible law. This principle applies equally to those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings and to those who are content and at peace with them. As a being who progresses and evolves, man is in his current position so that he may learn and grow. Once he has absorbed the spiritual lesson contained in a particular circumstance, that circumstance fades and is replaced by new ones. Man remains at the mercy of circumstances as long as he sees himself as a victim of external conditions. However, when he realizes that he possesses creative power and can control the inner soil and seeds from which circumstances arise, he becomes the rightful master of himself. Every man who has practiced self-control and self-purification over time knows that circumstances are the product of thought. He will have observed that changes in his circumstances correspond exactly to changes in his mental state. This truth is so consistent that when a man diligently works to correct flaws in his character and makes swift, significant progress, he often experiences a rapid series of transformations in his external conditions. The soul draws to itself that which it secretly harbors, what it loves as well as what it fears. It rises to the heights of its cherished aspirations and sinks to the depths of its unrefined desires. Circumstances serve as the means by which the soul receives its own. Every thought seed that is sown or allowed to fall into the mind and take root eventually produces its own outcome. It blossoms into action and bears the fruit of opportunity and circumstance. Good thoughts yield good fruit, while bad thoughts yield bad fruit. The external world of circumstance reflects the internal world of thought. Both favorable and unfavorable external conditions contribute to the ultimate good of the individual. As the reaper of his own harvest, man gains understanding through both suffering and joy. By following the desires, aspirations, and thoughts that dominate him, whether he chases the illusions of impure imaginings or walks firmly along the path of strong and noble effort, a man eventually reaches their fruition in the external conditions of his life. The laws of growth and adjustment are universal. A man does not end up in the almshouse or the jail because of the tyranny of fate or circumstance, but by the pathway of degrading thoughts and base desires. Similarly, a pure-minded man does not fall suddenly into crime due to external pressures alone. The criminal thought has long been nurtured in his heart, and the moment of opportunity merely unveils its accumulated strength. Circumstance does not create the man, it reveals him to himself. Vice and its accompanying sufferings cannot exist without vicious inclinations, just as virtue and its pure joys cannot manifest without the persistent cultivation of virtuous aspirations. Therefore, man, as the master of his thoughts, is the creator of himself, the architect of his surroundings. Even at birth, the soul arrives at conditions that reflect its nature. Through every stage of its earthly journey, it attracts circumstances that mirror its purity or impurity, its strength or weakness, revealing itself to itself at every step. Men do not attract what they want, but what they are. Their whims, fancies, and ambitions are blocked at every turn, but their deepest thoughts and desires are nourished with their own substance, whether it is clean or corrupt. The divinity that shapes our ends resides within us, it is our very essence. Man is bound only by himself, his thoughts and actions are the jailers of fate. When they are base, they imprison him, when they are noble, they set him free as the angels of freedom. A man does not receive what he merely wishes or prays for, but what he has rightfully earned. His wishes and prayers are fulfilled only when they align with his thoughts and actions. In light of this truth, what does it mean to fight against circumstances? It means that a man is continually resisting an external effect while at the same time nurturing and maintaining its cause in his heart. This cause may take the form of a deliberate vice or an unrecognized weakness, but whatever it may be, it persistently hinders his progress and demands to be addressed. Men are eager to improve their circumstances but are unwilling to improve themselves. As a result, they remain trapped. The man who does not shy away from self-sacrifice will never fail to achieve the goal upon which his heart is set. This principle applies equally to earthly and spiritual pursuits. Even a man whose sole aim is to accumulate wealth must be willing to make significant personal sacrifices to achieve his objective. How much more, then, must one sacrifice to cultivate a strong and balanced life? Consider a man who lives in miserable poverty. He is deeply anxious for better living conditions and greater comforts in his home, yet he neglects his duties, avoids hard work, and believes he is justified in deceiving his employer because his wages are insufficient. Such a man fails to grasp even the most basic principles that form the foundation of true prosperity. Not only is he utterly incapable of rising out of his misery, but he is actively drawing himself into even deeper suffering by indulging in idle, deceitful, and dishonorable thoughts and behaviors. Consider a wealthy man suffering from a painful and persistent illness caused by gluttony. He is willing to spend large sums of money to rid himself of the disease, but he refuses to give up his indulgence in rich and unnatural foods. He wishes to satisfy his cravings while simultaneously regaining his health. Such a man is entirely unfit to enjoy good health because he has not grasped the fundamental principles of a healthy life. Now consider an employer who uses dishonest methods to avoid paying the standard wages and, in pursuit of higher profits, cuts the pay of his workers. Such a man is unworthy of prosperity, and when he eventually finds himself ruined, losing both his wealth and his reputation, he blames external circumstances. He fails to realize that he alone is the architect of his misfortune. These examples are presented to illustrate the truth that man, often unknowingly, is the cause of his own circumstances. While aiming for a worthy goal, he repeatedly undermines his efforts by fostering thoughts and desires that are in direct conflict with that goal. These instances could be multiplied and varied endlessly, but this is unnecessary. The reader, if they so choose, can observe the operation of the laws of thought within their own mind and life. Until this introspection occurs, external events alone cannot provide a valid basis for reasoning. Circumstances are deeply complex, thought is deeply ingrained, and the conditions required for happiness differ widely among individuals. Because of this, a man's entire inner state, even if fully known to himself, cannot be accurately judged by another based solely on his outward life. A man may be honest in some areas yet still endure hardship. Another may be dishonest in certain ways yet accumulate wealth. The common assumption that the honest man suffers because of his honesty and the dishonest man prospers because of his dishonesty is a superficial judgment. It mistakenly presumes that the dishonest man is almost entirely corrupt and the honest man nearly perfect. A deeper understanding and broader experience reveal the error in such conclusions. The dishonest man may possess admirable qualities that the honest man lacks, while the honest man may harbor faults absent in the other. The honest man reaps the benefits of his honest thoughts and actions, but he also suffers from the consequences of his vices. Similarly, the dishonest man experiences both the rewards and penalties of his thoughts and deeds. Human vanity often finds comfort in the belief that one's suffering stems from virtue. Yet no one can rightly claim this until they have eradicated every impure, bitter, and unwholesome thought from their mind and cleansed every sin from their soul. Not until a person reaches this state of supreme purity can they truly know whether their suffering arises from their goodness or their shortcomings. As a person progresses toward, but long before achieving, this perfection, they will recognize the great law at work in their life. This law, being absolutely just, does not give good for evil or evil for good. With this knowledge, they will look back on their previous ignorance and see that their life has always been fairly ordered. All their experiences, both positive and negative, will be understood as the fair and inevitable outcome of their evolving, though still imperfect, self. Good thoughts and actions can never lead to bad results. Bad thoughts and actions can never lead to good results. This is simply to say that corn will always produce corn, and nettles will always produce nettles. Men easily grasp this principle in the natural world and act accordingly, yet few understand its equally simple and consistent operation in the mental and moral world. As a result, they fail to work in harmony with it. Suffering is always the result of wrong thinking in some form. It signals that the individual is out of alignment with themselves and the law of their being. The ultimate purpose of suffering is purification. It serves to burn away all that is useless and impure. For the one who has achieved purity, suffering comes to an end. Just as there would be no reason to refine gold further once its dross has been removed, a being who is completely pure and enlightened cannot suffer. The circumstances a man meets with suffering are the outcome of his own mental disharmony. Likewise, the circumstances he encounters with blessedness arise from his mental harmony. Blessedness, not material wealth, is the true measure of right thinking, while wretchedness, not the absence of material possessions, is the measure of wrong thinking. A man may be wealthy yet cursed, or poor yet blessed. Blessedness and wealth are only united when wealth is used rightly and wisely. Similarly, a poor man falls into wretchedness only when he views his condition as an unjust burden imposed upon him. Both poverty and indulgence represent the extremes of wretchedness. They are equally unnatural and stem from mental disorder. A man reaches proper alignment only when he is happy, healthy, and prosperous. These states are achieved through a harmonious alignment of his inner self with his outer circumstances and of his life with his surroundings. A man truly begins to live as a man when he stops complaining and blaming others and starts seeking the hidden justice that governs his life. As he aligns his mind with this governing principle, he no longer accuses others for his condition. Instead, he strengthens himself with noble and constructive thoughts. He stops resisting circumstances and begins using them as tools for faster progress and as opportunities to uncover the hidden powers and potential within himself. The universe operates under the principle of law, not confusion. Its foundation is justice, not injustice, and its driving force is righteousness, not corruption. With this understanding, a man need only correct himself to discover that the universe is already aligned. In the process of self-correction, he will observe that as he changes his thoughts about people and circumstances, those people and circumstances will, in turn, begin to change in their relationship to him. The proof of this truth lies within every individual and can be easily verified through systematic introspection and self-analysis. Let a man radically change his thoughts, and he will be amazed by the swift transformation it brings to the material conditions of his life. Men often believe their thoughts can remain hidden, but this is not so. Thought quickly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. Bestial thoughts crystallize into habits of indulgence and sensuality, leading to circumstances of poverty and disease. Impure thoughts of all kinds crystallize into weakening and disordered habits, which harden into circumstances of confusion and adversity. Thoughts of fear, doubt, and indecision form weak, irresolute habits, which then solidify into failure, poverty, and dependence. Lazy thoughts develop into habits of neglect and dishonesty, resulting in conditions of filth and destitution. Hateful and judgmental thoughts form habits of blame and violence, leading to circumstances of harm and persecution. Selfish thoughts crystallize into habits of self-serving behavior, creating distressing and unfavorable conditions. Conversely, beautiful thoughts of all kinds form habits of grace and kindness, which solidify into pleasant and uplifting circumstances. Pure thoughts develop into habits of self-control and moderation, leading to peace and stability. Thoughts of courage, confidence, and determination shape strong and resolute habits, resulting in success, abundance, and freedom. Energetic thoughts lead to habits of cleanliness and diligence, which create circumstances of comfort and prosperity. Gentle and forgiving thoughts become habits of compassion, forming protective and harmonious conditions. Loving and selfless thoughts crystallize into habits of serving others, resulting in enduring prosperity and genuine wealth. A specific pattern of thought, whether good or bad, inevitably shapes a person's character and circumstances. While a man may not be able to directly choose his circumstances, he can choose his thoughts, and in doing so, indirectly yet certainly, he molds his circumstances. Nature aids every man in realizing the thoughts he most frequently encourages, providing opportunities that quickly bring both good and evil thoughts to the surface. If a man abandons his sinful thoughts, the world will soften toward him and become eager to support him. If he dismisses his weak and unhealthy thoughts, opportunities will arise on every side to strengthen his resolve. If he fosters good thoughts, no adverse fate will be able to confine him to misery and disgrace. The world is like a kaleidoscope, and the constantly shifting patterns and colors it presents are the finely tuned reflections of your continuously evolving thoughts. So you will be what you will to be. Let failure find its false content in that poor word, environment, but spirit scorns it and is free. It masters time, it conquers space, it cows that boastful trickster, chance, and bids the tyrant circumstance uncrown and fill a servant's place. The human will, that force unseen, the offspring of a deathless soul, can hew a way to any goal, though walls of granite intervene. Be not impatient in delays, but wait as one who understands. When spirit rises and commands, the gods are ready to obey. Chapter 3: Effect of Thought on Health and the Body. The body is the servant of the mind. It follows the mind's commands, whether those commands are consciously chosen or unconsciously expressed. When unlawful thoughts dominate, the body quickly declines into disease and decay. Conversely, Under the influence of glad and beautiful thoughts, the body becomes vibrant, youthful, and radiant. Just as circumstances are rooted in thought, so too are health and disease. Sickly thoughts manifest through a sickly body. Fearful thoughts can be as deadly as a bullet, and while they may act more slowly, they are responsible for the gradual demise of countless individuals. Those who live in fear of illness are often the ones who succumb to it. Anxiety disrupts the body's harmony, leaving it vulnerable to disease, while impure thoughts, even if not acted upon, can severely weaken the nervous system. In contrast, strong, pure, and joyful thoughts fortify the body, enhancing its vigor and grace. The body is a sensitive and adaptable instrument, responding with precision to the thoughts impressed upon it. Habits of thought inevitably shape the body, producing either beneficial or detrimental effects. Men will continue to suffer from impure and poisoned blood as long as they harbor unclean thoughts. A clean heart leads to a clean life and a healthy body, while a defiled mind results in a corrupt life and a diseased body. Thought is the source of all action, life, and expression. Purify the source, and everything that flows from it will be pure. A change in diet is ineffective for a man who refuses to change his thoughts. When a man purifies his thoughts, he naturally loses the desire for impure food. Clean thoughts lead to clean habits. The so-called saint who neglects to cleanse his body is no saint. The individual who has purified and strengthened their thoughts has no reason to fear harmful microbes. If you wish to protect your body, guard your mind. If you desire to renew your body, beautify your mind. Thoughts of malice, envy, disappointment, and despair strip the body of its health and vitality. A sour face is not a product of chance, it is shaped by sour thoughts. Wrinkles that mar the face are etched by folly, passion, and pride. I know a woman of 96 whose face radiates the bright, innocent expression of youth. I also know a man far younger, not yet middle-aged, whose features are marked by discord and dissatisfaction. The former is the result of a sweet and sunny disposition, the latter is the product of passion and discontent. Just as you cannot have a sweet and wholesome home without allowing air and sunlight to freely enter, so too can a strong body and a bright, happy, or serene expression only arise from welcoming thoughts of joy, goodwill, and serenity into the mind. The wrinkles on the faces of the elderly tell their stories. Some are formed by sympathy, others by strong and pure thought, and still others by passion. Who cannot recognize the difference? For those who have lived righteously, old age is calm, peaceful, and gently softened, like the glow of a setting sun. Recently, I saw a philosopher on his deathbed. Though advanced in years, he was not truly old. He passed from life as sweetly and peacefully as he had lived. There is no healer like cheerful thought for alleviating the body's ailments, and no comforter like goodwill for dispelling grief and sorrow. To dwell on thoughts of ill will, cynicism, suspicion, and envy is to imprison oneself in a cell of one's own making. By contrast, to think kindly of others, to remain cheerful, and to patiently discover the good in everyone is to open the gates to heaven itself. Living each day in thoughts of peace toward all creatures brings an enduring and profound peace to the thinker. Chapter 4: Thought and Purpose. Until thought is connected to purpose, there can be no intelligent achievement. For most people, the ship of thought is allowed to drift aimlessly on the sea of life. Aimlessness is a vice, and drifting must end for anyone who seeks to avoid disaster and destruction. Those who lack a central purpose in life become easy victims of trivial worries, fears, troubles, and self-pity. These are signs of weakness, which, though they may take a different path, lead just as surely as deliberate sins to failure, unhappiness, and loss. Weakness cannot endure in a universe driven by power and progress. A man should conceive a clear and worthy purpose in his heart and strive to achieve it. This purpose should become the focal point of his thoughts. Whether it takes the form of a spiritual ideal or a worldly goal, depending on his current nature, he must direct his mental energy toward its realization. He should regard this purpose as his highest duty, devoting himself fully to its attainment and refusing to let his thoughts stray into fleeting fancies, desires, or imaginings. This is the royal road to self-control and genuine focus. even if he fails repeatedly to achieve his purpose, as he will until his weaknesses are overcome. The strength of character he develops will be the true measure of his success. This strengthened character will serve as the foundation for future power and eventual triumph. Those who are not yet ready to grasp a great purpose should instead focus their thoughts on performing their duties flawlessly, no matter how small or insignificant those tasks may seem. This approach enables the mind to gather and focus its energy, cultivating resolution and determination. Once this foundation is established, there is nothing that cannot be achieved. Even the weakest soul, if it recognizes its own frailty and believes in the truth that strength is developed through effort and practice, can immediately begin to grow stronger. By consistently exerting itself, adding effort to effort, patience to patience, and strength to strength, it will never stop progressing and will ultimately attain divine strength. Just as a physically weak man can build strength through careful and persistent training, so too can a man with weak thoughts transform them into strong ones through disciplined and purposeful thinking. To abandon aimlessness and weakness and to begin thinking with purpose is to join the ranks of those who view failure as merely a stepping stone to success. These strong individuals make every condition serve their progress, think with conviction, act fearlessly, and accomplish their goals with mastery. Once a man has conceived his purpose, he should mentally chart a direct path to its achievement, staying focused and avoiding distractions. Doubts and fears must be firmly excluded, as they are disruptive forces that weaken and distort effort, turning a straight path into a crooked and ineffective one. Thoughts of doubt and fear have never accomplished anything and never will. They invariably lead to failure. Purpose, energy, the power to act, all are extinguished when doubt and fear take hold. The will to act arises from the certainty that success is possible. Doubt and fear are the greatest enemies of such knowledge, and anyone who fosters them or fails to eliminate them sabotages their progress at every step. He who conquers doubt and fear has also conquered failure. His thoughts become infused with power, enabling him to face challenges courageously and overcome them wisely. His purposes are planted in their proper season, and they flourish, yielding fruit that matures fully instead of falling prematurely. Thoughts, when fearlessly aligned with purpose, become a powerful creative force. The one who understands this truth is ready to rise above being a mere collection of scattered thoughts and fleeting sensations. The one who applies this truth becomes the conscious and intelligent master of their mental powers. Chapter 5: The Thought Factor in Achievement. All that a man achieves, and all that he fails to achieve, is the direct result of his own thoughts. In a universe governed by perfect order, where any imbalance would lead to complete destruction, individual responsibility must be absolute. A man's weaknesses and strengths, his purity and impurity, are his own doing and cannot be attributed to another. They are created by himself and can only be changed by himself. His condition, whether it be suffering or happiness, also arises from within and belongs to no one but him. As he thinks, so he becomes, and as he continues to think, so he remains. A strong man cannot assist a weaker one unless the weaker is willing to accept help. Even then, the weak man must ultimately strengthen himself through his own efforts, developing the qualities he admires in others. No one but himself can change his condition. It has long been common for people to say, "Many men are slaves because one is an oppressor, let us hate the oppressor." Increasingly, however, a growing number are shifting this perspective and saying, "One man is an oppressor because many are slaves, let us despise the slaves." The truth is that both oppressor and slave are collaborators in ignorance. While they appear to harm each other, they are, in reality, harming themselves. Perfect knowledge recognizes the operation of law in the weakness of the oppressed and in the misused power of the oppressor. Perfect love, understanding the suffering inherent in both conditions, condemns neither. Perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. The one who has conquered weakness and discarded selfish thoughts belongs to neither the oppressor nor the oppressed. Such a person is free. A man can rise, conquer, and achieve only by elevating his thoughts. He remains weak, abject, and miserable by refusing to lift his thoughts upward. Before a man can accomplish anything, even in worldly pursuits, he must raise his thoughts above slavish, animalistic indulgence. Success does not necessarily require him to entirely renounce selfishness or animality, but at least a portion of it must be sacrificed. A man whose primary concern is base indulgence cannot think clearly or plan methodically. He cannot uncover and cultivate his latent abilities and will fail in any significant endeavor. Until a man begins to master his thoughts, he cannot master his affairs or shoulder meaningful responsibilities. He is not ready to act independently or stand firmly on his own. Yet he is bound only by the thoughts he chooses to entertain. Progress and achievement are impossible without sacrifice. A man's success in the world will be directly proportional to his willingness to abandon confused, animalistic thoughts and instead focus his mind on developing his plans, strengthening his resolve, and cultivating self-reliance. The higher he lifts his thoughts, becoming more manly, upright, and righteous, the greater his success will be, and the more enduring and blessed his achievements will become. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, or the vicious, even though it may sometimes appear otherwise on the surface. It consistently supports the honest, the magnanimous, and the virtuous. This truth has been declared by all the great teachers throughout history in various ways. To understand and prove it, a man need only persist in making himself more virtuous by elevating his thoughts. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, or to the appreciation of the beautiful and the true in life and nature. While such accomplishments may sometimes be associated with vanity and ambition, they do not arise from those qualities. Rather, they are the natural outcome of prolonged effort and pure, unselfish thinking. Spiritual achievements are the fulfillment of holy aspirations. The person who consistently envisions noble and lofty thoughts, who dwells on all that is pure and selfless, will inevitably become wise and noble in character. Like the sun reaching its zenith or the moon its fullness, they will rise to a position of influence and enduring blessedness. Achievement, in any form, is the crown of effort and the diadem of thought. Through self-control, determination, purity, righteousness, and focused thinking, a man rises. Conversely, through indulgence in animalistic tendencies, laziness, impurity, corruption, and confused thinking, a man descends. A man may reach great heights of worldly success or spiritual attainment, only to fall back into weakness and misery if he permits arrogant, selfish, or corrupt thoughts to dominate his mind. Victories gained through right thinking can only be preserved through vigilance. Many falter when success seems assured, causing them to quickly regress into failure. All achievements, whether in business, intellectual pursuits, or spiritual endeavors, are the result of purposeful and disciplined thought. They are governed by the same principles and follow the same methods, differing only in the goals they seek to accomplish. He who aims for modest achievements must be willing to make modest sacrifices. He who seeks significant success must be ready to make greater sacrifices. And he who aspires to the highest attainments must be prepared to sacrifice the most. Chapter 6: Vision and Ideals. The dreamers are the saviors of the world. Just as the visible world is sustained by the invisible, so humanity, through all its trials, sins, and mundane labors, is nourished by the beautiful visions of its solitary dreamers. Humanity cannot forget its dreamers, their ideals cannot fade or die, for they are the living essence of what humanity shall one day see and know as reality. Composers, sculptors, painters, poets, prophets, and sages, these are the creators of the future, the architects of heaven. The world is beautiful because they have lived. Without them, laboring humanity would lose its way and perish. He who cherishes a beautiful vision or a lofty ideal in his heart will one day bring it into reality. Columbus held the vision of a new world and discovered it. Copernicus envisioned a vast, multi-world universe and revealed it. Buddha envisioned a spiritual realm of perfect peace and untainted beauty and entered into it. Cherish your visions. Cherish your ideals. Cherish the music that moves your heart, the beauty that takes shape in your mind, and the loveliness that surrounds your purest thoughts. From these will arise every delightful condition, every heavenly environment. If you remain steadfast to them, your world will ultimately be built upon their foundation. To desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve. Can man's lowest desires be fully satisfied while his highest aspirations are left unfulfilled? Such is not the law. Such a state of affairs can never prevail. Ask and receive. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you will one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you will ultimately reveal. Every great achievement was first, and for some time, a dream. The oak slumbers in the acorn, the bird waits within the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, an angel awakens. Dreams are the seeds of reality. Your present circumstances may be unfavorable, but they will not remain so if you conceive an ideal and strive toward it. Inner progress inevitably leads to outward transformation. A young man, oppressed by poverty and harsh labor, spends long hours in an unhealthy workshop, lacking education and refinement. Yet he dreams of better things, of intelligence, refinement, grace, and beauty. He envisions and mentally constructs a better life. The idea of greater freedom and broader possibilities consumes him, and his restlessness drives him to action. Despite his limited means, he dedicates his spare time to developing his latent talents and resources. Gradually, his mind outgrows the workshop, which no longer aligns with his aspirations. The workshop falls away from his life like a discarded garment, and new opportunities arise, matching the growth of his expanding abilities. Years later, this youth, now a man, has become a master of certain mental forces. He wields them with profound influence and remarkable power. In his hands lie immense responsibilities. His words transform lives, shaping the characters of men and women. Like the sun, he becomes a luminous and steady center, around which countless destinies revolve. He has fulfilled the vision of his youth. He has become one with his ideal. And you, too, young reader, will bring to life the vision of your heart, not a fleeting wish, but the true desire that resides within you. Whether it is base or beautiful, or a mix of both, you will inevitably gravitate toward that which you secretly love most. Into your hands will be delivered the exact results of your thoughts. You will receive precisely what you have earned, no more, no less. Whatever your current circumstances, you will rise, remain, or fall according to your thoughts, your vision, and your ideal. You will shrink to the size of your controlling desires or expand to the greatness of your dominant aspirations. As Stanton Kirkham Davis beautifully expressed, you may be keeping accounts, and presently you shall walk out of the door that for so long has seemed to you the barrier of your ideals, and shall find yourself before an audience, the pen still behind your ear, the ink stains on your fingers, and then and there shall pour out the torrent of your inspiration. You may be driving sheep, and you shall wander to the city, bucolic and open-mouthed, shall wander under the intrepid guidance of the Spirit into the studio of the Master, and after a time he shall say, I have nothing more to teach you. And now you have become the Master, who did so recently dream of great things while driving sheep. You shall lay down the saw and the plane to take upon yourself the regeneration of the world. The thoughtless, the ignorant, and the idle, seeing only the surface of things, speak of luck, fortune, and chance. When they see a man become wealthy, they say, how lucky he is. When they observe someone becoming intellectual, they exclaim, how highly favored he is. And when they witness another gaining saintly character and influence, they remark, how chance aids him at every turn. What they fail to see are the trials, failures, and struggles these men have willingly endured to gain their experience. They are unaware of the sacrifices made, the tireless efforts expended, and the unwavering faith exercised to overcome what seemed impossible and bring their vision to life. They do not understand the darkness and heartaches, they see only the light and joy and call it luck. They overlook the long and arduous journey, seeing only the pleasant goal and calling it good fortune. They do not comprehend the process but only perceive the result and call it chance. In all human endeavors, there are efforts and there are results, and the strength of the effort determines the magnitude of the result. Chance does not exist. Gifts, powers, material, intellectual, and spiritual possessions are the fruits of effort. They are thoughts brought to completion, objectives accomplished, and visions realized. The vision you glorify in your mind, the ideal you hold in your heart, These will shape your life, and this you will ultimately become. Chapter 7: Serenity. Calmness of mind is one of the most beautiful jewels of wisdom. It is achieved through long and patient effort and self-control. Its presence reflects a ripened experience and an exceptional understanding of the laws and workings of thought. A man becomes calm to the degree that he comprehends himself as a being shaped by thought. Such understanding also requires seeing others as the outcome of their own thoughts. As he gains this deeper insight and perceives more clearly the interconnectedness of things through cause and effect, he stops fussing, fretting, worrying, and grieving. Instead, he becomes poised, steadfast, and serene. The calm man, having mastered self-governance, knows how to adapt to others. In turn, people revere his spiritual strength, feeling they can learn from him and depend on him. The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, influence, and capacity for doing good. Even an ordinary trader will find his business prospers as he develops self-control and equanimity. People naturally prefer to interact with someone whose demeanor is steady and composed. The strong, calm man is always loved and revered. He is like a shade-giving tree in a parched land or a sheltering rock during a storm. Who does not love a tranquil heart, a sweet-tempered, balanced life? It matters not whether it rains or shines, nor what changes come to those who possess these blessings, for they remain sweet, serene, and calm. That exquisite balance of character, which we call serenity, is the crowning lesson of personal growth, the fruit of a cultivated soul. It is as precious as wisdom itself, more desirable than gold, yes, even the finest gold. How trivial mere money-seeking appears when compared to a serene life, a life anchored in the ocean of truth, below the surface of the waves, beyond the reach of storms, dwelling in the eternal calm. How many people do we know who sour their lives, ruining all that is sweet and beautiful with uncontrolled tempers? How many destroy their inner balance, creating strife and turmoil within themselves? It may well be that the majority of people sabotage their happiness and peace through a lack of self-control. How rare it is to encounter someone who is truly balanced, who embodies that perfect poise characteristic of a finished character. Indeed, humanity is tossed about by uncontrolled passions, overwhelmed by unrestrained grief, and driven by anxiety and doubt. Only the wise man, the one whose thoughts are disciplined and purified, can command the winds and storms of the soul to obey him. Tempest-tossed souls, wherever you may be, and whatever your circumstances, know this: in the vast ocean of life, the isles of blessedness are smiling, and the sunlit shores of your ideal await your arrival. Keep your hand firmly on the helm of thought. In the vessel of your soul lies the commanding master. He only sleeps, wake him. Self-control is strength, right thought is mastery, calmness is power. Say to your heart, peace, be still. You've now completed your journey through James Allen's As a Man Thinketh, and we at Time Bridge Publications sincerely hope these timeless insights, presented in contemporary language, have resonated with you in meaningful ways. As you reflect on the principles you've discovered in this audiobook, remember that true transformation begins when we put these ideas into practice. Each thought you consciously shape brings you closer to manifesting the life you envision. We've made this audiobook freely available on YouTube because we believe everyone should have access to these transformative teachings. If you found value in this contemporary translation and would like to dive deeper, you can find the paperback version, complete with the original text and a practical workbook, through the link in the description box below. Your support means the world to us. By liking this video and subscribing to our channel, you help us continue our mission of making classic wisdom accessible to modern audiences. Hit that notification bell to stay updated as we release more timeless works in easy-to-understand, contemporary language. We'd love to hear how these teachings have impacted you. Feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. Until our paths cross again in another transformative work, remember, as you think, so you become. This has been a Time Bridge Publications presentation of As a Man Thinketh.